to the Not So Traveling Introvert. Today I want to talk about the first 90 days of a job. I'm speaking to a lot of my clients right now, and a lot of people have started new jobs recently and they're already feeling overwhelmed. And there's a lot of things that go into making your first 30, 60, 90 days successful. And there are a lot of things that we generally can talk about. But to start with, I want to talk about things that will help you as an introvert. So the first thing that I would recommend, if possible, is look at a calendar, figure out when 90 days is, and book at the very least a 3-day weekend. Because what tends to happen is, even if you're doing a job that you've done before but in a different organization, the thought processes and the extra learning and the extra mental work that you have to do means that by the end of 3 months, most people are just feeling burnt out. And they not super burnt out, but they just feel a little overwhelmed and a little like they keep trying to catch their breath. So that's the first thing I would do. While you're still looking at your calendar, I would also think about doing the same thing for 30 days. And 60 days if you can. But if not, another thing is to look at your calendar in general and see where the maybe there's some federal holidays coming up, and make sure you keep those in mind and that you will take those as rest days. I think there's very few months of the year where there isn't like one federal holiday in a quarter period. So then the other thing that I have a lot of people ask me about is how to set the tone for their needs to recharge or their needs to do sort of deep work. And so one of the things that I suggest is be up front with your manager and say, for me to do my best work, it'd be really great if I could have a no meeting Monday, or every Tuesday morning from 9 until 12, I don't respond to emails or respond to instant messages or respond to Slack or whatever communication system that's instant that your company might be using. Not only does this show that you know how you work best, it also gives you a chance to know that you can use that time to catch up, do some creative work, give your mind some white space, because we really don't have that enough these days when you're thinking about that sort of a thing. Now, other things that you really want to do, especially if you're doing remote work, is be really intentional about meeting people. Now, this can be a double-edged sword because you might be spending so much time on Zoom meetings meeting people that you end up feeling burnt out and exhausted. So don't just think about meeting people live in real time. See if you can do some pre-recorded videos or do some asynchronous communication through voice messages. That might be a way to sort of lessen the physical having to sit in front of your computer and be on Zoom sort of a thing. But if you do meet people and have one-on-ones, make them productive. Ask questions that allow you to learn about your colleagues' roles, responsibilities, business priorities, and challenges. That will allow you to start building up a mental map of the organization while you establish relationships and better understand how you can be a good partner to your colleagues. Always end those kind of conversations with asking who else you should talk to, or who else would be a good person to talk about X, Y, and Z. Think about the communications that you use. Instead of always using, like I mentioned, always using Zoom, maybe there's a video series or a podcast or a different way of communicating and making sure that works for you. Now, not only that, when you're thinking about building those relationships and being intentional, think about maybe finding a mentor. You'll probably be assigned like a buddy, but think about when you're building these relationships, a mentor that can help you get through the first 90 days or what have you, or ask other people, hey, the first time you started this job, what did you come across that was an issue or problem for you in the first 90 days? It's a great way of getting information, getting people talking, and points that you can learn to use moving forward. So these are just a couple of things that as an introvert might be really helpful for you in the first 90 days of a role. Being clear with what works for you and setting aside downtime are the two key things here. So thank you for listening. This is Janice at the Career at thecareerintrovert.com, helping you build your brand and get hired. Have a great rest of your week.